What's up, guys? Welcome back to the LD Studios here in New York City in our coverage of the WCS America qualifiers for placement in the Premier League of Season 1. A lot is on the line here, a little bit of recap of what's going on today. Of course, STC already got a spot because the person he was playing was disqualified. Of course, Com was playing on another person's account, which is not allowed, so he was disqualified from the tournament. So STC, congrats to him. He gets a spot in the Premier League of Season 1 of WCS America. Right now, we're trying to find out who's going to get that second spot from this section of the bracket. We have 4 players duking it out. We just had Apocalypse take down Cham. And I got to say, guys, look out for Cham in the future. I was pretty darn impressed by his play. He's only 16 years old. He's from Mexico. And he might be one of our North American hopes in the future. So look out for him. Again, he lost in the first round of this tournament, and he had to go all the way through the loser bracket, defeated a bunch of big names, and eventually lost to, of course, Apocalypse. Now, the next match, Mr. Nicholas, is going to be these two guys.
Of course, BadCop versus Hwangsin. BadCop's a player that we don't really know too much about.
And that's what I love about this tournament, Nick.
Yeah.
That's why I love it.
He's a shadowy, sneaky guy who's going to come in here and perhaps get some big upsets.
Yeah.
Of course, he's from the Clarity Gaming Academy. Beyond that, there's not too much known about him. Hwangsin, on the other hand, has been around in the scene for quite a long time. He won Breakout Player of the World at Breakout Player of the 2012 MLG Fall Championship because he took out a lot of great players. He even took out Oz in that tournament. Oz, one of the best players in Korea, especially at that time. Knocked out by Hwangsin, who showed great form there so far in this tournament. He actually lost very early as well, losing to Cats. Cats has some pretty crazy... We
casted that match.
Yes. We did. Cat showed some great ZVP there.
And of course, since that loss, he defeated Zeus, Smile Boy, Duster, Root Succeed, Envy, Rossi, Physically, and Bales to get to where he is now. Hwangsin, he used to be on Itsugosu. Itsugosu was a team that existed before the merger happened between Itsugu, Fornot, and Quantic. So now Hwangsin is a member of Quantic Gaming. So, actually a pretty interesting little storyline that could be developing is the battle of the teams. Let's play a game. You remember yesterday? Who were the final 3 players? The final 3.
Revival,
yes,
Jaedong, and the Muslim.
All from
EG.
Right. So the final 3 today could potentially be
Apocalypse.
Yes.
Hwangsin.
Potentially. Who already qualified?
Oh, STC.
Right. Who are all in?
Yes.
Quantic.
That's right.
Pretty cool. Little stat there. So I'm proud of myself for noticing that in the bracket. But to make that happen, Hwangsin has to beat BadCop. BadCop, I don't know anything about him, but I know he's in the Academy of Clarity Gaming, and I know he took out Trimaster.
Oh, that's a good win. Trimaster, yeah.
Lost to Zootop. Right
Zootop's one of the top Chinese players.
Yes. So we'll have to see if BadCop can make it happen. Hwangsin stands in his way. Let's get into the game.
Let's do it. First map is going to be Cloud Kingdom, one of my favorite maps. Of course, the reason why I like it is because positioning is so important on this map. There's lots of ramps to control, but it's not like you can just hang out on your side of the ramp because there's a lot of alternative paths to work around an opponent who's just trying to defend a single one of those choke points.
This is going to be a Protoss versus Terran, one of my personal favorite matchups. I love every matchup in StarCraft 2, but PBT is a matchup that I've really been trying to get down lately, trying to really understand the science behind it. And again, the winner of this match will move on to play Apocalypse, and then the winner of that match will qualify for the Premier League of Season 1 of WCS America. In the top right-hand location of game number 1, we have the blue Terran player who defeated Harp, Furious Zeus, El Seba, Legend, Trimaster before falling to Zootop to get to this point. Trying to become one of the unknowns, one of the North American heroes to qualify for WCS America Premier League. He is BadCop. His opponent in the bottom left-hand location from Team Quantic Gaming, a little bit better known than his opponent, one might say, has plenty of decent MLG runs and also a probe who really looks up to another probe and is trying to be instructed on how to mine minerals properly. He is Hwangsin.
Wonder wouldn't that probe will... Okay, there he is. He says
he finally decided he was ready.
His 2 lich period is over.
You know, man, you
He's
gotta
ready.
make sure you're ready. You gotta make sure you know exactly how to mine those minerals.
Yeah, that's right. You know,
before-
it's like not every probe comes out of Nexus ready to work immediately. Some of them need that little
Exactly.
extra, week or 2 internship time.
Yes.
Of course, a StarCraft week is about 3 StarCraft seconds. I think that line's about right with how long it takes to recruit a unit and
Yeah.
how much time it would really take to train a unit and how to fulfill the role that it needs.
Well said. Brilliant point, Nick. No one knows a lot about the really deep stuff that happens in StarCraft 2 that no one really talks about as far as the workers being trained. So I'm glad you could provide us that insight, and I really appreciate it. Now, what's interesting here is the building positioning of Hwangsin. He's putting everything near his nexus. It's a little bit of a strange placement on these buildings. I don't know if you agree with me. I don't know if I would do it the same way.
A lot of people do it this way.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. Never
I've
mind.
seen it both ways. One of the advantages is the closer your buildings are to your nexus, the better photon overcharge is as far as protecting more your key buildings. And also, of course, the less distance your probes have to leave to build additional buildings, so you gain a little bit of mining time. The danger is, of course, you don't want to make your base too cluttered where you can't really get through it very easily.
Yep.
And the other danger is you got to make sure you don't put any pockets where probes can be trapped. So we can see Hwangsin, of course, is not going to probably build on the corners of the Nexus. That's a really dangerous spot.
Another dangerous spot would be like above his cyber core next to his gateway.
Well, no unit would pop out there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
if it was me playing, it would.
Yeah.
'Cause StarCraft hates me.
Theoretically, a unit shouldn't pop out in that spot, especially as long as you're careful until you get Warp Gate.
Same Blink Stalkers.
Yes, and one thing to note is Hwangsin did notice that BadCop actually got gas, so he knows it's not a gaseous expansion. He knows there could be some type of tech play.
Yep.
Which is why it's interesting to go Stalkers, because if BadCop going for this factory right after Command Center, if he notices that Hwangsin hasn't expanded, he can go straight for a tank. And if there's one thing that really stops Blink Stalker timings hard, it's a well-placed siege tank.
But one does not simply notice that.
Oh, SCV.
SCV.
Get in there,
He's gonna-
SCV.
Oh. Well, if he had vision of his dead body, I think his dead body would have seen it. But where it actually died, I don't think
Yeah.
he would be able to see that. And he didn't make a Reaper or
Yeah.
anything either, which some Terran players like to do.
Yeah, so I think he's
In the
still in the dark. Yeah, I think he's still in the dark.
Now, he could scan, I guess.
He could scan.
How much energy does he have?
It's sometimes hard to tell what's worth a scan and what's not. Very tough choice. One thing I like about Hwangsin is he's doing something. This build does usually not involve Robo.
For the
but-
observer.
Exactly. The reason he's getting the Observer, it's not necessarily to get a high ground vision. That's a nice plus, but the Mothership Core can do that cheaper because you don't have to get that robotics facility. But it's because he knew his opponent opened with gas, so he knows there's an extremely high probability that Widow Mines are going to be present. Observer is really great at helping to mitigate those potential Widow Mines.
And there will be Widow Mines.
Oh, yes. We know that.
Yep, because we see 2 of them right now. We also see an
Another
SCV
scouting SCV.
sneaking into the natural, but it might be that point where it's like too late. He's going to have a decent amount of...
It should be, if he can start going for a siege tank right now, I think it's a little later than ideal, but what he could do is it'll give him the information to abandon expansion. There goes the tech wrap on the factory. There goes the additional bunker. That's exactly what he needs to do.
He was about to send out a drop, and he's
Yes.
like, wait, never mind. I'm retreating.
If he sent out the drop, he would be in so much trouble. But as it is, if he can get that bunker and the main up, I think he's going to be in a decent position. Of
You
course,
abandon your natural right away.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. It's almost impossible to hold your natural from this attack. I've seen it done a few times, but much more often I've seen a Terran lose when they try to do such a thing. He's got to get SCVs though in front of his Marines. He can't afford to lose too many Marines here.
It's nice he has a medevac healer.
Actually, the
He
bunker's
has
gonna
the
get up.
ability to heal up those Marines. He's going to get right into that bunker. Let's see what Hwangsin does from here. Going to target down a Marine there. And
Hwangsin's
maybe
gonna try
work his way around to the mineral line.
He's going to try to do that, pick off what he can.
Oh.
Marines are coming out. SCVs have got to get in front of him, of course. Remember, if the more Marines you lose, the less ability you have to force those Stalkers out of your base. He's
There's
backing
the tank.
up now.
The tank is out.
Yes,
and that
it-
is huge.
It is. The first tank you have to keep alive because it's when you get 2 tanks it can really start to cover a much larger section of your base.
Hwangsin adding on more and more Blink Stalkers, trying to keep aware of the Widow Mines that his opponent has
Oh.
with that Observer. Wow, gets taken out by one of the Widow Mines. Keep in mind, you can potentially... Oh my god, he's going to blink forward, trying to take down the tank, but the Marines able to get a lot of DPS down. I don't know if that was worth it.
No, I don't think it was either. That's exactly why you get a tank there, because if the Protoss wants to continue to harass, they have to do a move like that. That's a very expensive move.
Yeah.
One thing I'm worried about BadCop is he's not producing
He's
SCVs
losing a
out
lot
of
of
both of his.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not double producing SCVs. He's been letting the Marines take the damage instead of the SCVs. So, you know, it hasn't been a perfect defense, but I still think he's in an okay position. Oh no! He lost both the gases before he had enough gas to get an additional siege tank.
You can see, oh no, the Stalker's gonna blink forward, target down the tank, and Hwangsin's gonna retreat out of there. I mean, I know it doesn't look like he has a lot of Stalkers, but warping in some more, adding on 3 to help reinforce BadCop, getting lower and lower on that Marine count, down to 10 Marines, 1 medevac, 1 Widowmine, and again, his tanks keep dying. He doesn't have the ability to build another tank, as you said before.
He doesn't. You know, one of the really big issues is that second time the Stalkers blinked on a tank, they were able to kill the tank and get out with minimal losses because his Marine count was so extremely low.
Yes.
And that's, of course, because throughout this attack, he's been using the Marines to absorb damage instead of those SCVs.
And now the SCVs all being pulled here, perhaps a minute or 2 late. And he's going to shove Hwangsin out of his main base, but BadCop down to 40 supply to the 50 of Hwangsin. Hwangsin eventually going to take a Nexus behind this, realizing, okay, I might need to transition out of this, but continuing to make as many Stalkers as he can. I don't know if he realizes that his opponent doesn't have the ability to build another tank. In fact, BadCop building another Widowmine, and gas is easy to be taken the natural, but the Stalkers heading right in that direction. BadCop's like, you know what? I lost this one, but it is a best of 3. I'm going to try to come back and win game 2. But nice build there from Hwangsin. Not a terribly unpopular build, especially on a map like Cloud Kingdom, where your opponent's main base is pretty darn accessible, especially when you have an observer there. But a very interesting decision to go for that observer and not for the militia corps.
It was, and I think it did pay off. He was able to pick off those 2 Widow Mines, which allowed him to make that second blink onto the siege tank and not worry about activating those Widow Mines. Of course, we can see here, this is what's really important. He's picking off a lot of Marines, and if you keep the Marine count low, it allows your Stalkers to continue to harass, continue to damage a Terran player without taking too much damage and being pushed away. The Stalker count is very high there. The Marine count is very low, and that's what allows these Stalkers to really get in there and do a lot of damage.
And, you know, Hwangsin is a guy who's really good with his micro. He's able to really, you know, maximize the efficiency of those Stalkers. So, you know, it's really a nice example of Hwangsin's ability to control those units and again, his very good play with that Blink Stalker. So this is a best of 3. Hwangsin's going to be up 1-0. He's 1 win away from advancing on in the lower bracket to potentially play Apocalypse. However, BadCop, he could potentially win 2 in a row. So guys, stay tuned. We'll be back with game 2 after a quick break.